Hey guys, welcome. We're going to be talking about fluency today, so give me some hearts if you're excited. Hi. Hi. Hey Hallie. All right. We're just getting on in here. Hack that fluency. Thanks, Danielle. That's what we're going to be doing today. Hi, Patty. So we're going to talk a little bit about fluency today. Give me a thumbs up if you had fluency kids in your caseload this past year. Oops. Sorry. Nobody had any? Oh, Kayla, you got some? I always have a couple every year. I've had like several. Really? Yeah. Oh, you're still in school. Good. All right. Well, I'm going to turn this around and say hi, if I can figure it out. Cluttering. Oh, that's fun. You're still working? When's y'all's last day? Is it soon? We got out like the end of May, and the bad thing is, oh, okay, that's 3 weeks. Wow, it's late for some reason. I think that's late. The bad thing is when I'm trying to do a scope and I'm trying to prepare and bring fun visuals for y'all, I can't get into my classroom because the janitors have it all locked up and they're mopping and waxing the floor, so I couldn't bring many fun things for y'all to see, but anyway, 3 more days. Yay, Tina. That's exciting. Okay, well, let's get started. So we're going to talk a little bit about some things that I do for fluency. I typically treat fluency in 3 ways. I deal with the attitudes and emotions. Number 2, education. And then number 3, practice. So they practice the education that I teach them. So I'm going to go through a few things that I do for each of those areas. So for education, I think that's an important part of it. They're not really sure what's going on or what can help them. So a couple of the things I do is one thing that to kind of build their interest, I like to relate their fluency to a favorite topic. So for example, I have a student that really loves basketball. So while I'm teaching him the strategies or teaching him types of disfluencies or different things, I have him talk about how they relate to basketball. So for example, bumpy speech might be dribbling because it's bouncy or bumpy. And then maybe a swish shot would be the smooth speech. I think that's what he decided. And then like slow rate would be the penalty shot. Go Warriors, all right. Because you're taking your time. And then a pull-out strategy would be like a timeout. So we kind of do it to where they relate it to their favorite thing. You could even do movies if they love Star Wars. You could have them do, light contact is the lightsaber, or something that they will associate with the strategy or with the disfluency type or the different things that they do. And they typically really like it. It gets them motivated. They really especially like to go on the internet and find pictures of all of these things so we can keep them as visuals. And then we'll write underneath it what they are, or sometimes I'll have them draw it. So I really like doing that in relation to education. And then the second thing I like to do for education is to relate them relate the strategies to them like a fluency tool. So we make a little toolbox. I do have a product called Fluency Tools, and we use those as a similar thing. But we make a toolbox out of a shoebox, and I did bring that home with me just because I wanted to write a blog post about it. So I'm going to turn this around and show you for a second, if I can. So I made this little Fluency Tools toolbox with them, and it's a shoebox, but we covered it with colored paper. It would really work better if you had a wrapping paper, but I just had colored paper in my classroom, so that's what I did. And they put things in it that kind of relates to those strategies. Like we might put a feather in it. I know, right, Danielle? We put a feather in it if for light contact. We put like a rubber band for stretchy speech. We put a balloon for full breath, so they can kind of feel it. And we also put like their cards and their visuals. The handle is a straw and electrical tape. I couldn't figure out how to get it to stay, so we kind of make do when you're on the fly in the classroom. So yeah, it's just a straw. And then like the sides are like the electrical tape too. Thanks. I thought it turned out cute. We put like a little divider in there, and so we can separate like the strategy types or the like versus the disfluencies and all that. Anyway, I'm excited. They like it. So anyway, put this back up here. Okay, so that is kind of what we do for education. And then for practicing, a couple things that I like. So I'm confused about what you put in there. Whenever we talk about their fluency tools or fluency strategies, I'll put things that relate to that strategy. Like if we're working on light contact, and that's whenever you have to use your articulators very lightly, I'll put a feather. We'll talk about a feather. And so I have like a little feather that you can buy at a craft store, and they'll put that in there to remind them of light contact. Or they might even keep their fluency cards in there that we make for their strategies, or their little, like if they did Star Wars or if they did basketball, what they associate with that, we'll put those in there too. They each put some things in there. Does that make sense? Did that answer your question? Okay, so for the practice, let me get my computer back up. I made a blog post about this, I think a couple of years ago. But one thing that I do is I like to make pacing boards for slow rate out of tongue depressors. So does each bring a box home. They leave them in speech, or they can bring them home. If you trust them to bring it home, then yeah, they could take that home. At the end of the year, I'll let them take it home usually. But like during the school year, I usually let them keep it there so we can refer back to it as we need to. Or sometimes I might just, one year I might just make one box and they can all just put their stuff in there. But anyway, so back to the tongue depressor pacing boards. I think y'all may have seen this before. I can turn it around. Yeah, so I couldn't take anything in my classroom, so I couldn't bring you an actual one, but we'll put stickers on tongue depressors to help them slow their rate. So like they'll just say the word that follow each sticker to help them keep their pace. Sticker sticks, yep, love it. They like it, and I usually let them use the stickers that they want, so they get excited about. Some of them get excited about stickers, some of them could care less, but you could always use a marker if you don't have that on hand. So there's that. Yes, let me just turn you back around. Okay, and then the other thing that I'd like to do is use articulation and language activities for fluency practice. I do some mixed groups. Do y'all usually do mixed groups too? I'm trying to move my fluency kids to individual minutes, like 10 minutes individually, but I always end up having like one in each group. For some reason, I'll have one in a group. So I like to I've become really good at making my articulation and language games and activities feasible for fluency. So you can take pretty much anything and make it. Let's see, let me show you what I have. So I have this scene from one of my language activities. I think it's a language inferencing activity that I use this from. And you can use this for fluency really easily by having them tell a story about the picture. They can make a sentence about the picture. Using their fluency strategies, you can have them do all kinds of things with it. Talk about their feelings and emotions too with the different faces. I usually just go with whatever they're working on, because some kids are at different levels. Like some of them might be at the conversation level or the word level or sentence level. So if they're at a sentence level, then I'll just have them make a sentence. If they're at the word level, then I'll just make them label using their strategy, while the other kids are doing it like an actual language activity. And then with articulation, that usually works better if the student who's working on fluency is at the word or phrase level with a lot of the articulation things, because sometimes it's harder to get conversations going if you're like playing a card game when they have to say or playing a game where they have to say a word to like move a piece or something. But if you're playing like Guess Who, or if you're playing Old Maid or something like that, then that works a little bit better. So let me recap a few of those real quick. So for some of the things I like to do is to relate their fluency to their favorite topic. And I also like to make a fluency toolbox and relate it to tools. And then we make tongue depressor pacing boards. And then I like to use the articulation language games and activities that I already have and adapt them for fluency. And the last thing is kind of addressing attitudes and emotions. I like to do that when I do craftivities. For some reason, whenever the kids are doing crafts and they don't really have to look at me a lot, they tend to open up and talk to me a little bit easier. I'll ask them questions while we're making things, or I like to have them trace their hands on paper, and then we'll do one hand. What are the things you like about yourself, and what are the things you don't like about yourself? I think that's a Camilla. I think I had that from the Camilla workbook that I have. But I like to do that with them and work on lots of talking about their attitudes and emotions and how they feel about their speech that way while we're doing a craft. So anyway, anybody have any questions about anything? You can find me at busybeespeech.com. I have several fluency ideas and activities on my blog and in my TPT store. I have a big binder that I do have all those different areas of treatment that I like to do, the attitudes and emotions, education, and practice. And I use that a lot in therapy as well. But if there's no questions, then I hope y'all are having a great summer, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye. You're welcome.